Hi, this is Paul Casey, the Kenpo Karate Hall of Fame Zoom meeting. Today we're going to be talking about master keys and unraveling the mystery, as well as exploring Ed Parker's thoughts on this. Is it martial science or is it Kenpo Voodoo? We'll let you decide. Thank you. In the past about the duplicity. Dennis, so are we dealing with duplicity?
Well, first I'd like to talk about something Marty said, which I think we ought to throw out, which is, doing the left side versus the right side and all that kind of business. I think that's, worthless. I think the thing is, if you do it on the right side, you could obviously do it on the left side. So to bring up the left side.
Wait a second. Explain what do you mean? Do they mean the same technique or the opposite of the technique? What do you mean? I'm confused.
Just the opposite of the technique, whatever that is. If you do delayed sword, the right front grab, you can obviously do delayed sword with the left front grab. So you can, I think, just throw out the left side type stuff, because it's obvious that if you do one side, you could do the other side, assuming that you train both sides.
But
so
that's not what
think,
he was saying. That, to be fair, that's not what Mr. Zaninovich said. He said if you can do leaping crane on the outside of the body, you can do leaping crane on the inside of the body.
That was another part that he said earlier, though. He said, I think basically, again, talking about opposites, and reverses and things like that. If you can do it on one side, obviously you can do it on the other side. So it doesn't really matter. Now, as far as doing leaping crane on the outside or the inside, sure. Now we're talking about something different. We're talking about a different attack, of which you're still doing the same defense for a different offensive attack. So that's I can understand that, and I agree with that. It's the same thing I said earlier about short one. The first move could be a block, it could be a strike, and it could be for a punch, it could be for a spinning back knuckle, spinning elbow, for a high kick, for a left punch, a right punch, a front push, two-hand push, front single hand push, et cetera, et cetera. So it could be used for many. So there's master keys. When you look at master keys, it's the one key that opens numerous locks, not the ring of keys for each move. I was in a motel business. My parents had motels, so we had a master key for each move, for each lock that went through. All the locks were seriesed off of a master key, so that our maids could go through, and all I had to do was add one key. They didn't have to carry 50 keys with them and look up the key for the room. So the thing is, when you look at the master keys, you can talk about techniques, you can talk about basics. As far as the methods of execution, once again, if you do one on the right, you can do one on the left. If you can do whipping this way, you can do whipping this way. Then when you look at that, break down those movements into a master key execution of your hand movements. You got two arms, and with the right arm, you can do what? You can do hammering, you can do thrusting, you can do whipping, you can do snapping. With a change of the fingers or a change of the weapon area, but the execution of the arm is still going out, and there's a lot of duplicity there, which keys, what is the master key? That's the thing I think we ought to be looking at, not identifying, the different basics, because then we can have master key basics. Every kick's going to be a master key then. You got a front kick, a roundhouse, a back kick, a side kick, or whatever. When actually the master key kick is the front kick, okay? And that's just a vertical kick on plane 2, right? It's going vertically. Is that correct? Is that plane? That's right. 3's going this way. 2's this way. Okay, widthwise. 1's on the horizontal plane. Anyway, the front kick goes out. It's an extension of the leg. If you turn it horizontally, then you've got a roundhouse kick.
On number 2.
The retract the retraction of that, if you want to go into reverses, is still the master key, which is the front kick. So you got a front kick, a roundhouse, the side kick, same thing, is a kick that's going out, it's extending out from the leg. So there's a master key there with the legs, which are extensions of the different way you kick. But, you know, in what Todd does, you're changing the plane of that kick, and thus you're doing that. The same thing with a back kick. The back kick is the same thing as a front kick. It's just going in the reverse direction. Instead of hitting with the ball of the foot, it's hitting with the heel, but you're still extending the leg out. So the action of the muscle structure of the activity is all the same.
It
Front
has a
kick,
different
roundhouse.
mechanical function. I have to disagree. It has a different mechanical function between a back kick and a front kick.
Well, there's certainly different muscles, but by and large, the leg is still extending.
Correct.
So it's still just like the front kick. The front kick is extending. So there's a lot of quad action. The back kick is extending. Again, there's quad action there. So it's going a different direction, but kinesiologically, it's still going basically the same way. Roundhouse kick is doing the same thing. You know, a hook kick is obviously the reverse. You know, in there a hook kick or a roundhouse, a reverse.
And that was my
roundhouse.
point. And that was my point with the methods of execution when I said that.
Okay. So I mean that's my point on that. Now, so there's many different master keys. You gotta isolate down what is it that you're talking about in terms of a master key. What master key
Agreed.
are you talking about here?
Let me get in there for a second. I want to identify something. You know, when you look at what what Marty was talking about, he's dealing with, if he uses your analogy, there's 10 rooms and you have one master key, but each room has a different special tumbler in the lock, but it's going to bypass that because of that minor element. And so what Marty's saying, this is going to work inside, outside. So it's like your master key. He's going down the path and he can open all of them because it's just a slight variation. It's going to work. The question is there a in the techniques of opposite and reverses that, and I've heard this with Huck Planis, and I've heard this with Marty and a few others. Is there, when you look at, say, for example, two techniques, and I saw this analysis recently between Five Swords and I think it was Shield and Sword. Is that what it is? Shield and Sword, where it was a left, and it was basically the same movements. One's on the inside, one's on the outside. And then the movements are the opposite. Am I right on that, Marty? Is that something, am I out on the chart on that one? I don't know.
Well, no, I mean, I think you're on there. I think it's, you know, we talk a lot of times with, you know, conquering Shield and then going into, you know, defying the storm. So, I mean, you're basically doing similar movements on it, but I understand where Mr. Conatser's coming from on this, you know, calling everything a master key. And I think that's probably one of the issues. We use it as a fallback where my belief in, and I think that's because of the way I've been taught, and I'm catching it from, you know, different teachers with some of the same analogies. When you start talking about the ingredients of a technique, you start talking about the methods of execution. When you start talking about motion, you know, like Mr. Durgan was talking earlier, and the same thing with Mr. Wedlake. You know, I mean, it gives you a sense. And I think as far as what Mr. Conatser was saying, you know, I do believe you got to pressure it. And what'll work on the left or work on the right, we get that. But can you make it work on the right? We talk it a lot, but we don't pressure test enough of our stuff to really get it into our muscle memory to react off of that. I believe that to be more true than not. It's more we're teaching memorized techniques. And I think we need to take it to a different level on that and give, you know, the true essence of what we're trying to get across. Call it a master key or not, we're still doing basics, a basic front kick's a basic front kick, a basic rear kick, and then you learn how to get the mechanics in it. And I agree with the kinesiology aspect of it, because you got to know how it works to make it stronger and more effective. You know, so that could be considered a master key. And I agree with Dennis a little bit on that, but I think we overuse that term. I really do.
Do we overuse that term, Lee?
Really hard to answer that question, but you know, Mr. Parker put these things together so that we had a lexicon, we had a set of terminology, we could communicate with each other by phone. This is before video chats, He said, you should understand exactly what I mean just by the use of the terminology when we're talking on the phone. So he's using it as a mechanism to give you something to help your student get the idea. And I think that
Yes.
with a lot of these interpretations of it, it's like you take the one you like and
Yeah,
you use
Sweetie, it's gonna have to wait a little bit, Kay. Actually, come on in. Oh, I'm sorry, you guys. I thought I had my mute on.
No, you didn't.
My bad.
Okay, that was a master flub. Okay, here we go. Back it up, Lee. Go ahead.
My granddaughter's offering me cookies, guys. Come on.
Oh, Lord,
Bring in the
come on.
cookies. Got to
And she didn't
share
offer
now,
any of
Todd.
us.
Come on.
Oh, Lord, let's go back. Dennis didn't hear that, did he?
I want a
Did you-
cookie.
everybody.
He's ready to go down with my son. Cookies and James Bond. All right. So back it up.
That
So
little
you're
ice cream.
talking about the phone with Mr. Parker, should be able to understand terminology. But the
Yes,
problem is we don't. We're not understanding this terminology. It's rather confusing at points.
Well,
I don't
I think
understand.
the terminology gets interpreted like the techniques get interpreted.
I guess so. This
Well
is crazy.
stated.
I think, talking to what Marty said, the thing is, can you do it on the left side? That's a matter of training. It's not a matter of learning a technique. If you've done 5 swords, let's say on the right side, if that's all you practice, yeah, you're not going to be able to do it for something else because you're so ingrained with one way and that's it. And it's not one way. It's used in multi situations, which is why I think the term is good. You need to, dwell on your change your training methods to where you do left and right. And so you learn that. And also then it would be good and useful to train master keys or, a master key. Now I'm talking about techniques. I talked to Paul about a master key drill, the master key basic, which is the master, and there's several. The one I was talking about was mostly the hands. So there's a master key basic for the hands. And the thing is, it works in numerous ways. Same thing for a technique. We need to take techniques and learn to apply leaping crane this way and have the student do it this way so we can realize that it's not 2 separate techniques. We have 154 techniques. God forbid you go to the Tracy system where there's over 700 or something like that. Well, you're going to spend all your life memorizing sequential orders and never developing your own series yourself to where you got muscle memory where if something comes at you, because every situation on the street's not going to be the same. And it's not even necessarily going to be the same as in the syllabus. It can be close, but you got to do things. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. So
I'm going to go to Todd right now. Todd, you've been on a Friday night class. Every one of us have done the Friday night line. Okay. What is the biggest bitch you see at it when somebody's throwing the punches at you? You didn't throw the punch the way it's supposed to come at me, right?
I never said that.
No,
I never
I'm
said
saying
that.
I see it all the time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. You get in a line on a Friday night.
got-
Pasadena, I'm sorry. And the guy throws his something that's not supposed to be. And the other guy's complaining that, hey, that's not the attack.
If I'm teaching something and I have a student come up and dummy up for me and they throw the wrong whatever, I do something. They usually end up on the ground in pain. I get them back up and then I say, okay, that was the wrong one. Let's do the right one. And then we demonstrate the correct application or technique.
Your thoughts, Lee?
I think that happens in technique lines. If the technique, usually what they do is say, okay, we're going to do right punches. And they'll typically say, okay, we're going to work on 5 swords. At which case 5 swords is going to be for more of a center to cross push because you're going to be blocking on the, to more of a roundhouse where you're blocking on the inside and working that way, And if somebody throws a right cross and you have to block on the outside, it changes up. Doesn't mean you can't do something, but it changes up from the original technique. And a lot of times the line wants to work on one specific technique syllabus move and get that move down. I think the change to that would be have a technique line where the guy up front here gets to throw whatever he wants and you have to block or defend whatever comes at you. And because if they tell you the right punch, right away you're already getting a key to what's coming at you. You're getting some sort of right hand technique. If you come up and somebody throws a left, you know what's going to happen? I've seen it happen. Everybody gets hit or close to it. So I think the result of that is there are several different levels of technique lines as well. Now, the ultimate would be this guy's out here, he can throw whatever he wants at you. You have to defend. You just got to, it's like more like on the street. And that's the real upper level. Now, if you're working lower level technique lines, then yes, we're trying to do delayed sword, alternating maces, or whatever we're doing. You know, I can understand that. On the upper level of training, I think that's where this kind of stuff comes in. So we're really talking more about advanced level training and how to take and actually identify what are the master keys. What's a master key move? What's a master key basic? You know, and why is it so? And then learn to apply it. Again, I go back to how much Kenpo do you know of? How much do you actually know? How much do you understand? And then how much can you apply? Those are the four things that are really important in terms of delivery.